It's the most wonderful time of the year. Boom, boom. We're gonna be testing out the Weebill-S today. Isn't that right? What up, AFAM? I'm Kitty. For those who are new, welcome to the madness. I run a production company in California as well as play with camera gear from time to time. This compact gimbal can finally hold my 24-70 G Master, and it was straight out of the box. I didn't have to calibrate, I didn't have to auto-tune, I didn't have to change the motor strength within the app or the device system. It was good to go. The Weebill Lab and this are pretty similar. However, this is the younger sister that's pretty beefy because she's been lifting more. Yes, I said she because female power, what's up? How this one differs from other gimbals is that it has this detachable tripod here, which you could move up to here. If you haven't seen it already, this is really great for carry mode and very low angles like that because the balance is very simple. I highly recommend that you get this quick release tripod system here. It does not come stock with the gimbal. If you don't have it, you're gonna have to screw in the tripod every single time you need to move it. This gimbal does have different modes like the rest of the gimbals. To change that, they're on the side here labeled L and PF. There's also a point of view button down here, which allows you, when you press it, to get these sort of Dutch angles. And then if you hold the trigger here, you will activate all follow mode, which will pan and tilt with all your hand movements. If you double click the point of view button, it'll activate V, which is their vertical mode, where you can get your inception spin shots. Also, if you hit up the lock mode, you can adjust manually by hand if you want to tilt up, down, to the side, without using the joystick to get there. In terms of balancing, you can put heavier lenses on it. However, be careful because, for instance, for me, when I was balancing my 24-70, typically I'd have it at a 40mm so I could get that middle range when the lens is extended out a little more like that. As you can see, it's still holding. But when I balanced it that way, I noticed that the eyepiece was hitting this back motor here, which is weird because when my friend Jason balances it, it totally is clear. So I don't know if my camera setup's a little different, weight class wise it's a little different. I just want to let you guys know. So for this one, I balanced it at a 24mm, still working pretty fine. It held on to my 24-70 really well. The motors are really strong and there's not a clearance problem, as you can see. I also have the riser plate on here, which is better for bigger lens setups. I did get away with not using the riser, but I did have to take the eyepiece off. I feel like every gimbal nowadays is balancing a little more differently. So when I first put the camera on, you have this quick plate system here, which can be released like so. So what I like to do initially is actually balance it this way first with this locking mechanism, which shifts it back and forth. So you'll be balancing this motor here prior to anything else. I don't know why, this is just what I like to do with my setup. Because I noticed once I was setting up this system first and then moving on to here, it was just thrown off all types of crazy. Then I would actually move this right here. This moves it back and forth and you'll be balancing this one right here. As you can see, it's all messed up right now. Be very patient. I know if this is your first gimbal, even if it's your second gimbal, it takes a little bit because every gimbal is different, you know? And that one's already done. So then I would move this back and forth. And this last one always lasts. And there you go. The way to turn it on is this power button right on the side. Pretty self-explanatory there. the compatibilities with different camera setups, I personally own the Sony a7 R3 and the Nikon Z6. Typically, Sonys don't really do a lot in terms of like focusing controls, but they normally charge the batteries and also trigger record and photo. However, when I tried to record with this camera, it wasn't working photo-wise, recording video-wise, but it was charging the battery. So that's how my a7R3 was connected to the system. Maybe it's different between your other Sonys, like the a7 III. I don't have one personally, so I don't really know and I'm sure. But if you have a Nikon Z6, it's pretty awesome. However, it does not charge your battery, but you have access to literally all the camera settings, aperture, shutter, ISO. You could also record videos straight from the dial here. You don't even have to touch your camera, which is pretty incredible. In terms of capabilities, Nikon Z6 definitely went out with the Weebill-S. If you have a different camera, definitely check out the compatibilities list that will be somewhere on their website. Things that you could do with the app, you saw in the beginning of the video that the Weebill-S has this mode called the sync mode, which is kind of like a mimic motion where you just connect the app via Bluetooth on the ZY Play app and it'll follow your hand movements. It's a lot of fun. Also, they're gonna be coming out with this transmitter and receiver device where you could connect this camera feed into your phone and use it as a monitor. Also, the receiver that's not out yet at the making of this video, you could connect it to your monitor as well. Now, I just need to find someone who's gonna operate this gimbal for me and then I could just sit and direct and have a monitor. If anyone's available, let me know. The build, oh, the build, let me check it for you. This is how I check build quality. So the tripod grip is very nice. It's a nice sturdy grip texture here. Most of it's a metal. This is metal, this is metal. The handle's plastic right here. The battery compartment is plastic. The little joysticks and buttons here, plasticky for sure. But the motors up here are all like a metal or aluminum, so they're pretty sturdy. Very, very strong, as you can see. And yeah, I don't hear any creaking even in the handle. Creak test for those who need to record audio. It's pretty good. It is a little weird. Sometimes my hand is like hitting these buttons here. So if you're holding it like this, be careful because I keep pushing like point of view mode. But apparently if you double click the LV mode button up here, it'll lock all the keys. So you won't be touching or maneuvering anything while you're shooting. So that's an option if you keep running your hands over these buttons. Another great thing is the screen here on the Weebill-S, which is also on the Weebill and the Crane 2. And I really like that because it shows your battery life, it shows you exactly what mode you're on so you don't have to guess, you don't have to go into their application and change settings. Everything is right here. So it definitely saves you time and it doesn't keep you guessing. And then also if you have a camera like the Z6, you have all the camera capabilities so you can see your aperture, your ISO, and your shutter on the screen right now. This is the first time that a gimbal does not come with a case. Here's the box it comes in. It looks like a case, however it is not, which is totally fine because I don't tend to use my cases when I'm transporting them to shoots or different places that I'm traveling to. However, I do use the cases when I need to store them in my closet. So if that's gonna be a problem for you, I'm just letting you know this is what it came in. Kinda is like a case, but there's holes in the back. But it does fit pretty much anywhere. And even in a small backpack, if you have like a Peak Design 20-liter, it'll fit in there. I tend to put all my gimbals on the side compartments where the tripod's supposed to go, and then I just take the tripod off and throw it in the bag, and that's how I pretty much transport all my gimbals. But it'd be nice to have a case to store it. I guess I'll just use this still and then keep the box. And that'll be that. My neighbors are gonna hate me. In conclusion, I think this is a really nice gimbal if you have bigger setups and you travel pretty often and you still like the compact look of the Weebill Lab, or you're looking to upgrade the Weebill Lab and be able to put your G Masters, or maybe you have a 5D Mark IV for instance. This would be a really good option for you, especially if you like doing the undersling carry mode and you like having the options of changing the handles. in various positions. Like with all gear, there are things that I wish it had. For instance, I wish that it recorded via this trigger button here. Because I am a Sony shooter, it would be nice to just have that option because my hands are already here. Also, because I don't use the follow focus system, this would be nice if it had like a feature to do a roll access maybe in case my horizon does come off a little bit. However, I haven't had that problem at all while using this gimbal, and I still haven't calibrated it or auto-tuned it, so that's really good news. And lastly, as I said a little bit earlier, I wish it had a little bit more clearance, at least for me, between the eyepiece and this back motor here. The clearance does get really narrow depending on how front heavy your camera setup is. But all in all, I think it's a really good, sturdy, compact gimbal. I'm very happy to see more travel gimbals who are carrying heavier payloads. And straight out of the box, it's a really good option if you're beginning at gimbal using. All right, hopefully you guys like that review. If you're still deciding between this gimbal and other similar gimbals, I probably have a video on that already. Check out them over here because there's a plethora of them. Also, if you want to binge watch some of my other material, check out the YouTube and Chill playlist just for you guys. All right, you do you, fam, and we'll see you when we see you. You want to do a little sign off? Okay, say done, done. Happy Halloween! It's the most wonderful time of the year. Okay, bye.